I've seen people that have transformed their body biologically and physically by having a personal trainer as a coach. I've seen people stack millions in their bank account because they've gotten a specific industry business coach. As you level up in your financial status, I believe it's great to have coaches in every department because they hold you accountable. They shave off the learning curve and they say, hey, here's what I've seen hundreds, thousands of people be able to have success with, and I think you'll have the same success if you'll apply these principles.
America's backbone was built on blue-collar business grit, grind, and muscle. This is where you stop working for the business, and the business starts working for you.
Blue Collar Millionaires, welcome back again. Chris and I here for another podcast. Today we're going to talk about resources that help you scale. Let's talk about a simple one. Podcasts and audiobooks. Yeah. You just listen to this. You could be doing other things. Let's talk about that. Maybe a couple of them that worked. And then how do you go about integrating that into your day?
There's so much dead time when you actually audit your day, like driving, flying on a plane, when you're working out. Maybe you even have a job activity that allows you to sit there and listen to other things because it's repetition. What you're doing is repetition. It doesn't require a lot of thought process. These are excellent opportunities for you to listen to podcasts and audiobooks. And, a couple of podcasts, of course, if they're listening right now, is Blue Collar Millionaire.
Yeah.
I'll shamelessly put that plug in there because we give so much great content across all of our episodes on how to just build and grow a home service-based business or a service-based business in general. But then Alex Hormozi's got a podcast called The Game, and it's all about marketing. And this guy has, built multiple businesses, but more importantly, he's had some pretty substantial fails in his journey of building a business. And he is an amazing marketer. And that's the reason he's been able to have the success that he's done is because of his marketing skill sets and his dedication to discipline and focus on whatever he's trying to master in the moment. So The Game by Alex Hormozi is a podcast that I highly recommend. There is, outside of Blue Collar Millionaire and The Game, I also recommend that you find an industry-specific podcast. Because you do need to know what's happening inside of your industry. So if you're in excavation, if you're in cleaning and restoration, if you're in HVAC or plumbing or garage door, whatever it is, there is podcast out there at this point that is going to be probably a really good resource for you to hear what other people in your community are talking about. Because there's general business knowledge and then there's niche business industry knowledge. And I think it takes both of them for you to really master your craft and dominate. What about some audiobooks?
Last one, I think listening to Tommy Mello.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a great job. I mean, you can catch him on YouTube or whatever. I mean, if you listen to a Tommy Mello thing for 30 minutes, I'm going to go say you're going to be smarter.
Home Service Millionaires.
He gives so many good things. Audiobooks. My favorite book of this year by far is Chet Holmes's book.
Yeah, I agree.
The Ultimate Sales
Machine.
It is long and excellent. It has so much info in it. One thing about doing these things, if you're listening to it on audio, you should just be screenshotting. Mm-hmm. If you're listening in on thing, I think it's better to stop, screenshot, write yourself notes. That's what I do when I read it. When I listen or read at home, I keep my little notepad because none of it matters if you don't implement it.
That's true.
So that's a good one. I like Piranha Marketing because we were talking about that. Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff in there. What's the one we gave away? I forget. I'm drawing a blank on it.
Empire Builder.
Oh, that was excellent.
Empire Builder. I would say every business should read Traction by Gino Wigman because it's just a fundamental way for you to systematically run a business. So Traction. Then I would say your next book, actually, I would say your first book should be The Ultimate Sales Machine. Your second book should be Traction, because if you don't have your jobs coming in, there's no reason for you to build a business system to handle the jobs. Let's see. There was also Who Not How. Who Not How. This teaches you the power of leveraging other people's skill sets, which is going to expedite your journey. It's going to move you down the path faster because you don't have to learn everything every skill. You can find someone that already knows it. You can pay for them. You don't have to pay them an annual income. You pay them weekly, bi-weekly, however, like you buy them in chunks, but you're buying their expertise that they've spent years in developing.
Who Not How is a great one. I love Dan Sullivan. You can find him on YouTube, everything. But a similar book that came out was our buddy Mark Evans had is Magician versus Mule.
Yeah.
I like that one better. That one, I read that. I didn't know Mark. I just had met him. That book hit home for me. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've been a mule my whole life.
Yeah.
And even when you start to become a magician, you're not truly one. He really is one. I could see it from him, and now we know that how he operates. Sure. I like that one. Here's a couple core. I think everybody should read E-Myth. Mm-hmm. It's about setting up your business to have a business and not a job. And really think of like McDonald's, like really organizing it and getting out of your own way. I like another broad book is excellent. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Mm-hmm. How to talk to people and have it. It's so powerful. That book is 100 years old. It's a classic. I love The One Thing by Gary Keller Williams because so many entrepreneurs have ADHD. You can be all over the place. Yeah. Get zeroed in. That is how you make a lot of money. It's not by having 17 streams of income. Dominate one, go to the next.
Yeah.
Or it has to be closely. I like all those books. But I think the truth is different books work for different times in your life.
100%.
There was books that were awesome to me in 2006. Yeah. I don't need them now. But when a book really hits home, set that one aside. You know which one it is. And I like to go back to the same books. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, even like How to Win Friends and Influence People, I love that book. Sometimes I'll go and watch a YouTube thing of a recap of the 12-minute thing on it. It just triggers you to remember different things.
I listened to The Ultimate Sales Machine 2 times in full, and then chapters 4 through 6, probably 5 times. And it's because I wasn't sitting where I could write every time. So I was either driving or in the gym. And I just wanted to absorb it because those 2 chapters right there were speaking to me so much. I needed it to get integrated into my thought process.
Yeah. Another one, and then I'll get over onto something else, is Atomic Habits by James Clear, because your habits will determine anybody you look at, what their bank account looks like, what their business looks like, what their health looks like, what their body. You could just look, their habits are everything.
Yeah.
You already know somebody's habits if you see them really out of shape or if they're ripped.
Yeah.
You know at least that part of their habits.
Right.
But I think a key thing is, in going to that habits thing, is what you read and listen to matters. But if you consistently say, hey, I'm going to do this for an hour a day or 90 minutes, even if it's 30 minutes, I mean, we got to put some pace up. But I think one way is, if you have an hour commute, you should say, hey, maybe I'll listen to music for the first 15 minutes and 45 minutes. Yeah. On the way home, you can break it up. Or if you say, hey, I'm going on for the walk, I'm going to call my mom and my buddy for the first 20 minutes, then I'm going to do 40 minutes on this. If you do that over and over, right now I'm doing this elliptical machine every morning, it's an hour. Mm-hmm. I always set it for 60. I know what book I'm listening. I start right where I'm at. I'm screenshotting things. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for the compound effects. It's worked for me over time. If you do that over time, like, you're going to have so much info.
I love my moments driving when I have commutes. Now, I live more in a rural, not a big metropolitan city where there's a ton of traffic, start-stop kind of situation. So it might be different if that's your situation. But like when I'm on commutes, I call it windshield time. And I have so much thought process that takes place. So I love doing audiobooks there. But even if I turn the radio on, because sometimes I have so much download, I'm just like, I need a minute to just digest. And then I'll just stick on some music and I'll just be running through the thought processes of that audiobook. So I would say flip it and do the audiobook the first 45 and then do the last 15 of music. Because my way I work is then I'm over there just rolling through all that information and thinking how it applies to my particular situation. Paid education. So this group paid education. So podcast, audiobooks, or self-development, feeding yourself every chance you get. I have seen such a massive change in my financial position, my business acumen, my professionalism, my confidence level, because I started having wins in other areas because of new education when I got in group settings. Because when you're sitting at the table eating, at the bar, at the coffee table, on those sideline situations when you're talking to people and you're hearing what they do, and you have a chance to say, how did you even discover how to do that marketing method? Like, well, what are you doing and how are you hiring this? And what questions are they asking? You get a chance to really dig in and get granular, and you're getting to hear it from more than just one person in a group setting, because I've realized business problems are not different.
No.
You just hit them at different times in your journey. And there's somebody that's already gone down that same path, whether they're in your same industry or not, and they know the answers to get you through it.
How many times have we seen that in the elite where you and I are running the group and we're always answering questions, but somebody else pops in?
Yeah.
We have a couple guys who are really good at it. They say, hey, they're on mute or on their cameras off, but they're listening. And they say, hey, I had that. You know what I did? And then they start going. They say, they give a resource or a website that they use or some type of connection, and it helps. And the truth is you don't have that if you're not around that. So that's why I like the smaller groups like that.
So I would call those coaching groups masterminds. Yeah. And I want to do a shameless plug here. I mean, we've got Skool. We got the Skool group, Skool. This is right now currently, not saying it's going to stay the same, but right now currently for $8,
crazy,
you can get in the Blue Collar Millionaires Skool group. Exclusive content, exclusive interviews with Deca millionaires sitting in there. You ask a question and you're going to get some nice answers. We pay more attention to our $8 questions than our free community questions because they're paying to play over in the Skool group. Then if you want to graduate and get more access to live Zooms, Q&A situations, plus our classroom content, you can move to the Skool Blue Collar Millionaire Accelerator. This is where you have broke down your virtual assistant program, how you hire them, how you manage them, how you have built a commercial email list and email marketed them to build a multi-million-dollar gutter cleaning business, where I have built my restoration business off of affiliate marketing, pay for performance so that I retain great individuals and I also attract great individuals, along with all of the little nitty-gritty stuff that's allowed us to cash flow ourselves in growth mode, like factoring that you've done with Jonathan Federa. Yep. Like so many courses in there, and that currently is $80.
In great detail.
In great detail. I mean, you can sit there. Some of these are hour-long courses where it's just breaking it down in PowerPoint saying, boom, 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 here's the steps. Then you still get an hour every other week of Q&A time on a live Zoom with one of us where you can sit there and interact. But my favorite overall of value is our Boardroom Elite.
Yeah.
Our Boardroom Elite is $500 right now. And we do a weekly, hour-long Zoom call with all the other members. And this is where you were just saying, they'll pop in and say, hey, here's what I did when I had this situation for $500. Like I pay $3,000 a month for a coaching, one-on-one coaching. I pay $1,000 a month to be in a group that does group coaching, like the Elite. I pay another $1,250 a month to be in a different kind of group coaching. And me and you, we're charging $500 right now for Boardroom Elite. And
and you got one-on-one, and then you have questions, you get access.
Every single
yesterday, we went, when you got off, it was an hour. I went to 3:30. We were going all kinds of everything.
Wow.
Yeah. We're talking to Corey about a deal he has, and then I was telling him how I'd go about it.
Yeah.
And back and forth. And I was talking to Steven, we enjoy it. It's one-on-one stuff.
You got to get in groups. You got to get in group settings. It's cheaper, it's affordable, and it's priceless for what you're going to get.
In groups to get access. So you look at Skool for $8. If somebody messages you in there, they get a message back. You message me in the free group. We've got 175,000 members. Yeah. It's like in my spam box. There's like 100 of them.
Agreed.
What am I going to do?
Agreed. Then I would say after the group, you really should also consider simultaneously, or after you've had some group time, you need to consider specific courses. This is where, like the accelerator, where you say, hey, I really would like to add virtual assistants to my business. This is where you would buy the course that teaches you how to plug in virtual assistants so that you can leverage that type of talent inside of your business to scale with. Buy specific strategic skill set courses so that you can cut the learning curve down. they're sold all over the place. Make sure it's from someone that's actually used it and done it. And it's not just theory. They've used it and they've had success with it, like your virtual assistant course. But skill up by buying courses. Going to school in most businesses, going to like a college is not the kind of courses I'm talking about. This alternative type training, and this is where individual practitioners have said, you know what, I'm going to document this and I'm going to tell people how they can do it because this is something that anybody can have success with.
Yeah. One thing on the what courses to take, who to listen to, I got a couple things to say on this. Podcasts, you got to watch out for podcasts because now everybody with a microphone, they put a microphone in their thing.
Yeah.
And you're an expert on things.
Right.
I don't know what you did.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're really talking about. Writing books, even you could write books now, but when I came up to write a book, like you had to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody had to want to put basically $1 million behind you because they had to go sell these things.
Now there's Amazon.
Now there's everything. But really the podcast, it's just so many people. So that's why, like, if I'm going to listen to Tommy Moe's got $250 million business. Why wouldn't you listen to him and you listen to someone else? But this goes with the courses and things. If I say, hey, Kevin and Chris are in this, I could go to your Absolute Restoration and just look at all the reviews. Mm-hmm. I looked at them like just,
if it's good business.
Look how many reviews he's got at 5 stars. He's really in it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, because there was a guy in our group who asked me if he could do this, sell his landscaping course, and he was telling me how he's doing all this stuff. I go to this thing, he has 7 reviews. Okay. But he also had a question from last July, a year and a half ago, where he said he was approaching 600,000 in sales. Mm-hmm. It's not the 600,000 so bad. Why are you teaching people how to make millions of dollars? I want guys who've been there and done that. I'll tell you something with me. I was running a business when George Bush was president, but not the George Bush during 9/11, his dad. Okay? So I've been through it.
Yeah.
I've been through all kinds of recessions. I've been through all this stuff. I can teach you. When I see these 28-year-olds with very good marketing on their courses, what are you going to tell anybody?
That's it.
You don't know anything. We know somebody who was trying to tell guys how to do Blue Collar Millionaire stuff, never did $1 million in it, never sniffed $1 million of sales. Forget $1 million. I'm talking about doing $1 million in net. Like, let's talk about real numbers. So be careful on that. Read the books that matter, podcasts that matter. Check these people out before you waste time.
I agree 100% because there's a lot of regurgitated content out there that's never been practiced. And then I remember as a kid, we would sit there and we would whisper, and it was like the teachers were trying to teach us something. So you'd have to pass it to your friend, and we go all the way around the classroom, and then the last person would sit there and say what they heard, and then the first person would say what it actually started with. And by the time it got through 30 people in the classroom, it was a totally different message because someone would tweak it just a hair. Instead of when, it would go to if. Like little bitty words would change and then the whole message was changed. And that's what you got to be careful with influencers that's never practiced. Now, I would say our next step is where I think a one-on-one coaching is a great asset to have in your life. And when you look back at any superstar, they had a one-on-one coach, someone that stayed with them.
Yeah.
And this is kind of saying, well, aren't you contradicting yourself, Chris? But coaching is a different skill set. Let's take Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
What was his coach's name?
Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson never sat there and put any of the rings on his fingers from any type of championship award or anything like that. But he was a hell of a coach because he knew what it took to be able to drive someone that desired greatness. Yeah. And that is what you're going to get from a one-on-one coach. They're going to sit there and they're going to help guide you. They're able to ask questions that extract the talent out of you. You've got the answers inside of you, but sometimes the right questions need to bring it to life because you can't see what you really need that's already in. So I've paid for one-on-one coaches in the past to get me over obstacles. And then I went to just group. Now I've got group, and now I'm circling back around and I'm paying for coaches again that are specific in my industry that's helping me get over the next hurdle because I understand I don't know what I don't know. And if a coach let's take my restoration business. A coach that has seen 100 restoration companies at different levels is going to be able to navigate me and say, hey, have you thought about doing this instead of it like this? And then they're going to shave off the fat and allow me to have efficiency. So group coaching to technical courses that teaches you specific skill sets to one-on-one coaching. This is going to be your most expensive coaching because you're taking somebody's time and they're only spending it with you. And you may not be able to afford that in the beginning. And that's why we started with the group coaching. And we also mentioned to get the specific courses that teach you a specific skill set. But as soon as you can afford it, I think you should add on top of that, stack on that one-on-one coaching, because that I've seen people that have transformed their body biologically and physically by having a personal trainer as a coach. I've seen people stack millions in their bank account because they've gotten a specific industry business coach. I have seen people do the same thing with their marriages and their relationships when they get a relationship coach. As you level up in your financial status, I believe it's great to have coaches in every department because they hold you accountable.
Absolutely.
They shave off the learning curve and they say, hey, here's what I've seen hundreds, thousands of people be able to have success with. And I think you'll have the same success if you'll apply these principles.
That was a lot of stuff. Guys, get after it. You could have no money if you just want to read books and listen to the right stuff for an hour a day. You'll get progress just off that. But at some point, you're going to have to elevate to the
Start
next
where
level.
you can start.
Yep.
Start.
Danielle's pick the time, do it.